Hi, it's me. I hate Disney and I hate Florida. That's the end of my review. Just kidding, we wouldn't want to abruptly end things now, would we? Today I'm reviewing The Florida Project. This was written by Chris Burgach and Sean Baker, who also directed this film. Sean Baker is an American film director and screenwriter. He is the same guy who directed Tangerine, which is the infamous film that was shot on an iPhone 5S. And while that film was a little too trashy for me personally, I did like the film he made before that, being Starlet, which wasn't nearly as experimental. And with The Florida Project, we're seeing him go back to a very conventional technical approach to tell a very unconventional story. The Florida Project follows a young girl named Mooney and her rebellious mother Haley, who are in poverty and live week to week in this cheap motel run by this stern but compassionate manager. Mooney is played by Brooklyn Prince, the hotel manager is played by Willem Dafoe, and the mother is played by Bria Vinaite, who is not actually a professional actress. She's actually an Instagram weed entrepreneur that Sean Baker found in New York City. He literally slid into her DMs and asked her if she wanted to act in his film. She does have plenty of dank posts.
You know I'm about. Tonight she gon' have to swallow. In the morning she gon' have to swallow.
Someone asked me what my biggest pet peeves are. When the weed man's late. When the weed man's late. When the weed man's late. When the weed man's late.
And this is the person playing the mother of a 6-year-old child. But all of the performances from these three main characters are excellent, especially Brooklyn Prince. This is probably the best child performance I have seen in a long time. This film doesn't follow the typical 3-act structure like most films do. It's more of a slice of life type of thing, chronicling the struggles of this mother and her daughter as they try to make ends meet. It also kind of acts as this documentary about this subculture of people who are essentially homeless, living in these motels where there's a lot of fights and prostitution and bed bugs. And the film has a real freeform type of flow to it, and I think it ends up working pretty well. There's a lot of improvisation that results in a lot of brutally honest moments that feel very genuine. You see the main events of this film primarily play out through the viewpoint of Mooney and her friends, who spend a lot of their time wandering through the area of Kissimmee, Florida, unsupervised most of the time. She treats the bright purple motel that she's living in as this sort of paradise. It's appropriately called the Magic Castle. The film creates this juxtaposition between Disney World and this motel, which is right down the street, which I guess is Sean Baker's way of trying to shed light on this group of people who are unbeknownst to the rest of society, even though it's right next to one of the biggest attractions in the world. And you see this lifestyle for what it is, but it's not painted in an entirely negative way. The Florida Project was primarily shot on 35mm film. That's pretty unheard of for most films to do today, and I'm glad they did it because, God, it looks so smooth and so rich. This is probably one of the best looking independent films that I've seen this year that was made for less than $5 million. There are lots of gorgeous shots with excellent framing and composition that really sucks you in. I think the main thing this film has going for it though is definitely the performances by the group of kids, especially Brooklyn Prince, who is hilarious and really wins you over. The drama of this film and the more serious parts feel very authentic. Willem Dafoe has a lot of great moments. He acts as a sort of father figure to Mooney and her mother. And I appreciate this film's brave approach of trying to make this atmosphere as realistic as possible, even if what we're seeing is unapologetically trashy. This film does have some issues though. The second half drags a little bit in certain parts. It gets to a point where nothing significant is really happening, and the film becomes a little too observational to the point that what we're seeing just feels kind of aimless and repetitive. What disappointed me the most about this film is the ending. It is complete shit. It's really abrupt and kind of a non-ending. The film really builds up to this big climax and then it just doesn't resolve itself. And I know this isn't the case, but it kind of felt like the writers just gave up on the last page and just said, fuck it. But even though the ending was shitty and certain parts of the second half dragged, I still did come away from this film being very impressed with what I saw. I'm looking forward to seeing what Sean Baker does next. I'm going to give The Florida Project a 4 out of 5. Thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you thought about this film in the comment section below. Leave me a recommendation on what I should watch and review next while you're down there. If you like this video, then hit that like button or share this video, or both, whichever you prefer. And if you dig the channel, as always, you should subscribe to the channel. Don't know why you haven't already. Thanks again, guys. This is Josh, and I am signing off until next time. See you later.